Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. You're starting to feel it there.
yeah, I can feel it like working.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, like when I was in there, I took on my hip and stuff, I was like, I'm not helping.
Oh, yeah, because, yeah. But yeah, because you check, you can walk.
Yeah. And that's the big thing, like, kind of.
Straighten that leg out.
I hit all the time, sometimes, I'll be like 10 minutes on your let it go. And I-
Right,
and
you
I'm
have to
still
be
like
straight forward,
concentrating.
yes, straight, straight, straight.
Yeah, so you kind of concentrate that and stuff, so. I'm
But-
trying to.
Little at a time, little at a
Yeah,
time.
that's.
We're good? Okay.
We all want it to work like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Bill.
Sorry.
Let me call to order the monthly meeting of the Highlands Board of Commissioners for June 18th, 2026. Our first item on the agenda will be our moment of silence, followed by the pledge. Will you all stand with me for the moment of silence? Thank you, and now the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Our next item will be the statement of conflict of interest. And I have that posted under item 3. If any board member has a conflict of interest on any item that we'll be covering tonight, of course, they should declare that. The next item will be the public comment period. And I want to clarify before we open it up to public comment, we will also have a public hearing tonight concerning the budget for the fiscal year. If you want to make a comment about the budget, then please save your comments until that public hearing and we open it up to the public. But at this time, any general comments that anyone would like to make, I'll invite people to come forward and speak in front of the board into the microphone. And we, of course, would require that you identify your name and your address, and please hold your comments to 3 minutes or less. So I will now open it up to the floor for any comment anyone would like to make. And I see Brian Steeler coming to make a comment. Brian?
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. I've seen you guys before somewhere. All right, I'm here and I'll try to keep this as brief as possible. But so I'm here representing Highlands Cashers Hospital, and I serve on the Board of Trustees at the hospital. And I'm here to I just wanted to briefly discuss and address the resolution that's in your agenda packet. So for those listening, and just there's some people that don't understand the difference, but when we refer to healthcare in the community and regionally, there's Highlands Cashers Hospital, and then there's Mission Hospital in Asheville. Mission Hospital and Highlands Cashers Hospital are both HCA properties, Healthcare of America, and Highlands Cashers Hospital, which again is what I want to be very clear that I'm representing, continues to provide excellent care to this community and receives the highest standards, quality ratings of any HCA property. So we're proud of that. We're proud of our leadership and the direction that our hospital's going. So, Mayor, your support of Highlands Cashers Hospital is appreciated, and we know that's going to continue long into the future. But there are some people that fail to differentiate your criticism when it comes to Mission Hospital and Highlands Cashers Hospital. And we've had this conversation a couple times. So I think one thing I want to just say is just respectfully ask that just understand the weight that your words carry and how they resonate with people, because there is a difference there that people don't totally grasp. So sometimes they take the criticism of HCA Mission and feel that you're criticizing Highlands Catchers Hospital. The next thing is, so like just hitting on the resolution, and from my understanding that some of this originated from an organization called Reclaim Healthcare, which for those again that don't know, was started by Democratic Senator Julie Mayfield, who is represents Buncombe County. And she's publicly stated her goal is she feels that no hospitals that are for profit should exist. I mean, she's basically said that. Would you agree with that?
I haven't heard that
Okay.
specific comment.
Okay. All right. So
I will
anyway,
not disagree with you though.
all right. So
And I will also say I've been associated with Reclaim
okay. Okay. So this
Healthcare.
it's my understanding that this resolution is basically a effort on their behalf led by her to where they're basically using y'all's names to kind of rubber stamp this and get every community in Western North Carolina with the goal of getting rid of HCA Mission Hospital. Okay. So you're kind of being used for that. Now, like, I'm not saying there's not problems with HCA in Asheville. I don't know that. I'm representing Highlands Catchers Hospital, and again, that's why I'm here. So I'm just going to ask respectfully that if something were to happen to HCA in Mission, that it's going to impact the Highlands Catchers Hospital. We have 3 years left on the agreement as it is right now, but anything that happens to Mission Hospital is going to negatively impact the Highlands Catchers Hospital. And quite frankly, I think in some ways, not in many ways, we're very fortunate to have HCA because now I can't speak for this because there may be other hospital systems out there that could do it, but they're putting a lot of money, millions of dollars back into this hospital, back into our community, all for a hospital that doesn't even break even. I mean, that's impressive. So, so once again, going back to this resolution, the resolution is, I take it is demanding a meeting with Sam Hazen. I just ask as commissioners, if that's something y'all want to support personally, then y'all have that right. But to put the town's name on it, I think is a mistake. I think it's inappropriate. And I would ask the board to not fight this fight. If you, like, again, you want to do it personally, go for it. Other organizations want to do it, they have the right to do that too. But I would just ask that, like, as elected officials, y'all's job was to focus on Highlands and our community, and that's where it should, and I think that's where it should stay. It needs to stay local. So again, if this resolution passes, it's not the end of the world. But what it does is it's one more piece of negativity that hits the newspapers. That's one more article that's in the newspapers that doctors, that staff, that nurses read. These are people we're trying to recruit to come work here. And what they're seeing is a community that doesn't support the hospital. Now, you can say all along, like, I'm not talking about Highlands Catchers Hospital, but unfortunately, they're one and the same. So again, that's what I'm asking of y'all, and I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Thank you.
And I'm going to be watching from TV at the comfort of my couch
Okay.
because it's a long agenda. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Do we have any other person comment, public comment?
Mayor, commissioners, attendees, thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. My name's Tom Kirtland, and as I said earlier, my wife and I have been part-time residents of Highlands since 2020. I'd like to comment about the excessive use of gas leaf blowers. The town's ordinance sets strict limits for many activities while exempting others, including lawn maintenance equipment and gas leaf blowers. When used, quote, according to manufacturer specifications and with all standard noise reducing equipment in place and in proper condition. These specifications are routinely ignored, perhaps not by all, but by enough. The first specification requires that first manufacturer specification requires operators to keep a 50-foot distance to prevent serious injuries to unprotected bystanders, children, and animals. This is impossible, especially in a town and in most neighborhoods. Other specifications include operator requirements for wearing goggles, respiratory masks, headphones, and earplugs, none of which fully protect the user. And standard noise reducing equipment, seriously, I don't know what that can mean. The evidence is alarming. It's extensive, it's easy to find, and it confirms what we already know, but might not wish to admit. The relentless ear-splitting noise, dirty emissions, and hazardous dust threaten our environment and the welfare of our community, threatens our neighbors, our children, our pets, and especially the low-wage workers who operate these machines. In response, hundreds of towns across the U.S. have either restricted or banned their use. Yet landscapers there continue to thrive and the work still gets done. If you look at what these machines do, how loud they are, and how much they pollute, it should not be normal to simply tolerate this status quo. It's well past time to find a reasonable balance between necessary yard work and legitimate concerns about noise, pollution, and health. Thank you.
Thank
I've
you.
got some fact sheets that I'll leave on the back table.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do we have any other public comment?
Hi, my name is Joel Diaz. What other information I need to share?
Address?
45 Choctaw Road.
Thank you.
Yes. Being the first time that I've been at a meeting, is it appropriate to be able, can I ask questions or just make a statement?
You certainly can ask questions. That
Okay.
doesn't mean we can answer them
Yes, sir. Understood.
immediately.
Understood. First, I just wanted to greet one of my neighbors, Commissioner Tate, who owns a landscaping company adjacent to my property. And so I get to wake up every morning to hearing his crews coming through. And so if I'm in the back of my house, I get to hear them every day that they work. And I just want to say, and speaking to the noise ordinance, I just get over it because that's his business. And I understand he's got a job to do. And I know that even though it's throughout the day, it is what it is. Now, I guess being a kid born and raised in Atlanta and only been up here for 2 years, a little noise doesn't bother me. And I kind of chuckle at the amount of time that you all have had to spend trying to help out the police chief so that she can do her job and not have to deal with nonsense. My question was, does the ordinance only deal with amplified sound, in particular with restaurants, or does it matter?
In general.
In general? Okay. All right. So my other question was, if a piece of property or area is zoned for bars and restaurants, and there's another business in there, it just seems common sense to me that if you're there, you're in a bar and restaurant area, there's going to be bar and restaurant noise. Just wanted to make that. I have had several points of contact with the amazing police force here at Highlands. The first was the first weekend that I moved up to Highlands. I was unaware that North Carolina does not share a 30-day grace period on getting a tag on your car. And so I had just bought a new car and driven it up here without a tag, which is legal in the state of Georgia, and was promptly pulled over by one of the newest deputies. And so I quickly rolled down all the windows and turned on the lights because it was at night in our new 4Runner that we had bought from a private individual in Georgia. And he was very polite and didn't write us a ticket and sent us on our way. And we went down to Franklin and sat in line for 5 hours or something. So long that I went down to Taco Bell and bought 30 tacos to feed everybody that was sitting in line at the DMV. That's not a joke. So the only other times that I've had run-ins with the police department, and multiple at that, have been when I have been enjoying some delicious beer at Western Carolina Brewing. The very first time that I went there, soon after opening, I made the mistake of parking in a parking space late, once it had already been dark, at a business next door. I saw the sign, but being a kid from Atlanta, in Atlanta, Marietta, Smyrna, everywhere I've lived, if a business is closed, just park there, especially if it doesn't say that that they don't have any towing signs, because legally then they really can't do anything about it except ask you to move your car. And so the police walked in and asked who was driving a particular car, and I was like, that's me. And I was just kind of shocked because the building next door was completely dark. But somehow, some way, somebody called the police on me to move my car. That has happened multiple times, not with that, but then with noise complaints. And I see that as a huge waste of policing resources. I've talked to the police chief and the other police officers that reluctantly walk into the business every time. And every time that they've showed up to take a decibel reading, it has been below decibel levels. I know about sound systems because I've been around them my entire life. I can tell you that when we have a crowd at Western Carolina Brewing, it far exceeds 60% decibels just talking. And there was Commissioner Weller shared numbers and a chart that are scientific to prove that fact. And so I just want to ask, is there a threshold to complainants contacting our police department where their behavior becomes a nuisance? And lastly, I just would think that maybe more people should enjoy a Namaste hazy IPA at Western Carolina Brewing. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comment?
Chad Garner, 460 Carolina Way, 464 upstairs. Business is downstairs. In relation to his comments about who called about the parking, the business was not dark. A couple of days before, Margaret Steed,
Order,
in those
please.
rezoning hearings had said, people have to monitor their parking on Carolina Way. So that's just what she said at the meeting a few days before that incident that he's speaking. Also, I just wanted to say, if you get a chance to do the experiment outside, you should have multiple radios so that you can, and maybe put them a certain distance apart so you can get a feel for what Main Street or any other street might feel like. If people are listening to music they don't want to listen to, then they're naturally going to hear the music that they want to listen to. And then the next person will put their music on that they want. It'll just sort of be a chain. So I just wanted to say, I think it's a good experiment to let everybody hear what that might look like, where the rubber really meets the road for having speakers out in town. So that's really all I have to say about that. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Hearing none, we will now move to the next item, and that is to review and approve the agenda. Do we have any changes to the proposed agenda?
Move it be approved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand, signify by saying
Aye.
aye. Thank you. We have an agenda. The next item will be the approval of minutes. We've got a number of these tonight, so let me go through one by one. The first one will be the approval of the April 30th special meeting minutes. Do we have any corrections or changes to those special meeting minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand, signify by saying aye. Thank you. The next would be the approval of the May 12th special meeting minutes. Do we have any changes to those minutes?
Motion we approve.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand, signify by saying aye. Thank you. Then the approval of the May 19th special meeting minutes. Do we have any changes or clarifications to those minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And then then we have the approval of the May 21st regular meeting minutes. Do we have any changes or clarifications to those minutes?
Move they be approved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, please indicate by
Aye.
raise your hand. Thank you, and say an aye. And then finally, the approval of the May 26th special meeting minutes. Do we have any changes or clarifications to those?
Let me find it real quick.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We're through the minutes. All right. The next item will be the reports, and we will start with the mayor's report. I've got a number of items. We did have a meeting here on June the 9th concerning the issue of how we elect county commissioners and set up districts, voting districts. Some people might say that the town should not be involved in this. I counter that we have population interest, economic interest, social interest. We're part of this county, and I simply, as a new approach that I'm taking, called a community meeting. We had about 35 people here. Mayor Guffey from Franklin came. We had Jimmy Goodman, who is the chair of the Republican County Party. He came along with Ron Haven, a former county commissioner. We had a number of people from the county and not just in Highlands that came and participated in that discussion. Also, Commissioner Patterson gave a very comprehensive and thoroughly researched presentation about the options that are available as we go through this county-wide process. I'm not going to say any more. I'm going to save it probably for Commissioner Patterson to weigh in when it comes to commissioner reports, but I was very glad to see that we did have a good turnout, and it was a good discussion. I know Commissioner Tate was also here. I didn't want to leave him out. I'm looking at several other meetings coming up this year or this summer. One is that the hospital folks will be having a meeting on their housing project, employee housing and workforce housing. I'm not going to be here on the day of that meeting. That's June the 30th, but Josh Ward, our town manager, will be attending that and representing the town. I invite any commissioner if they'd like to come and hear that discussion and be a part of it. We'll give you the details. The other thing I want to do, again, not an official town board meeting because this has much broader impact, but I do want to call a community meeting of stakeholders to address the issue of workforce and attainable housing. I'm still working on that date and talking with people in the community. This is not just a town issue. It is a county and community issue. The town certainly can partner with other entities and stakeholders, and I think it's time that we start sitting down and exploring possibilities and options to address this critical issue. Couple of other things. I will be having my monthly community coffee at the Hudson Library tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Chief Holland will be joining the session to answer questions and give updates to the attendees concerning the Highlands Police Department. What I do at these coffees now is basically review what is covered at these board meetings that we have on Thursday night. Then also tomorrow at 2 o'clock, we're having the groundbreaking for the playground. And I know it might be bad weather and we might have to do it indoors, but I encourage everyone to come. and celebrate this very important, point in us realizing that we will have a real wonderful playground at the park. Brian Steeler, Commissioner Weller have worked so hard to get this to become a reality. And I hope that we can come all together tomorrow to participate in this wonderful ceremony. Then, one other thing, we had been working with our legislative delegation about, town needs and grants. And I appreciate, Senator Corbin and, Representative Gillespie. They're reaching out and keeping in contact with us. About 2 weeks ago, one of their, staff people called up and said, tell us about where you are on that sewer line that we had said would be a need, well over a year ago. Replacement of the force main on 64. I had to tell them, that contract has already been let and funded and it's underway. And they said, well, what else do you need? So I quickly got with, Josh and he talked with the Public Works folks. And we have put in a request to, get funding, a grant to, improve the pump station at Big Creek, right next to 64. That's a project that we know we're going to have to address in the coming years. And if we could get state support for that, that would be wonderful. We'll keep you posted on that as the legislature comes to their adjournment period. Sometimes those grants and requests get funded. And then also, I want to bring up something that Commissioner Tate, I know, has brought up, and it was a struggle this month, and it's becoming more and more of a challenge, and that is getting the agenda packets out to the board members in a timely manner. I know Josh and his staff have been working on the budget and different issues that we've been having to deal with. And I step back and look at that, Commissioner Tate, and say, you know, the workload and the amount of products that we're generating with these agenda packets and what we're having to do now is pretty intense compared to even a year or so ago. And I know Josh is looking at ways to get that information out faster. And one of the ideas is to speed up the staff submitting documents and reports at an earlier period, possibly then getting those out a week early for the board's review. And then as we move toward the board meeting time, let's say on a Friday or Monday, putting out a supplemental update to the agenda and the packet and the things that we need. So I know that I'll be working with Josh and the staff, and we'll try to improve that ability to get that information out to the board members. So that is my report, and I'm now going to open it up to commissioners to give their updates and reports.
I do. I have some.
I just wanted to give Commissioner Patterson props on that event about redistricting. I just thought you did an excellent job and interesting crowd up here. And I just thought the presentation was well. And even though I felt like I was an expert on the topic, I actually learned a good bit. So thank you for that.
I have two things. One of them, the mayor already mentioned, tomorrow at 2:00. And if you happen to look at the weather which I just did, hopefully everything's going to be gone, and it shows a 1% chance of rain at 2:00 tomorrow with sunshine poking through. Now, we all have lived in Highlands long enough to know that is worth about that comment. That's it. But I encourage everybody to come out. We'd love to have a huge crowd out there. Secondly, I wanted to mention the Chamber of Commerce, and I have been part of it. We are working with Mike Hall at Hotwire to try and expedite and push along the downtown Wi-Fi network. Currently, the ball is in his court, so
We are actively working on it, though. This is something that we had talked about before. The chamber is going to pay to install, but all of Main Street and the B1 district would basically be covered with Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi for anybody, which obviously if we can keep power on, et cetera, when we had issues in the past, that would have been phenomenal during Helene. We could have kept because Hotwire actually still had internet in town after Helene. But just wanted to mention, so I think it's critical time-wise, so if anybody runs into my call, ask them how it's going. And also wanted to mention, I was another one that had mentioned about trying to get agendas a little bit early, and I just want to commend our staff because, there's two sides to everything, as we talked about earlier. But, we have a 300-page agenda that for us that work 8 to 10, 12-hour days, and then, this is what we do while falling asleep at night. Be nice to have it more than 48 hours. And I realize that's putting a burden on the folks at Town Hall, but also want Town Hall to understand that we're by no means being critical of you all. We just want a little bit more time, even if half of it came out, so we had it for the weekend, would be phenomenal. But yeah, it's a lot to go through in 48 hours. So but thank you to all of them.
Anyone else?
I'll just say about the agendas. Do you know that when I started, we didn't get the agenda till you walked in the door? I'm the one that changed that.
Yeah.
I said, I can't read this in that amount of time. Maybe y'all are speed readers, but I'm not.
It was also 4 pages.
Technology is great and an evil thing.
Yeah, that's funny.
That was 5-10 years ago.
Yeah. I was 12.
I've been here 33 years and you were here then, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Our next item will be the consent agenda.
Josh,
Hmm?
Josh, have anything?
I'm sorry, Josh. Okay,
I've got a Dog Mountain water line replacement project update. Hopefully the tank was completed today. If not, we've got rain tomorrow, so maybe another week, but they were getting very close. A couple of days ago, they were hoping to get finished today. The pump station, the building is complete, looks really good. They got the tin roof on it, got the double doors in this week. The pumps are in place. They're working on the generator pad this week. So we're getting close. We did have a setback. The SCADA components had a long delay. So it's looking like about 22 weeks for those to all come in. So the project will be complete. We'll just be waiting on that toward the end, but we're working it with the new line. It's active. The temporary tank is online and it's supporting the 8 or 9 houses that's up there right now. So I think we're going to be in good shape until the SCADA comes in. The end of next week, 1 ton is going to be in there and they're going to be boring in the conduit for the fiber. Directly after that, hot wire will be pulling the fiber in and that will go to the SCADA components when they come in. Also, those folks in the area will have availability to that underground fiber. So that's a good thing. Also, what we are asked constantly is about the resurfacing of the roadway. It is in very bad shape right now. Really, it's down to gravel in a number of places. So Stillwell is our contractor. He's got his paving contractor coming in to look at it. We talked about it with the engineering firm. And looks like they're going to have to remove a lot of that pavement. It's in such bad shape and go back with a leveling course before they actually resurface it. So we're hoping that is going to occur sometime in July. So we'll just have to wait to see exactly the conditions, obviously the rain we get and the availability of the pavers coming in. We're going to also do some upgrades on some of the culverts. There's a few culverts that needs to be replaced there. A few that need to be extended because they're actually falling in on the side. So we want to get all that obviously complete before we resurface the roadway. Also our force main repairs that we've been talking about for about 3 years. They began this Monday on Oak Lane. So if you try to travel down Oak Lane, it's been closed this week. There's 2 large sections there that's going to be replaced of the line and air release valves. And then one up on 64 where we had the break before in 23. Despondence project, that area right there will also have the new pipe put in and an air relief valve, along with some other valves down through there. So over the next couple months, you'll be seeing that, that work being done. So also, we did have a sewer line break in the, I think it was on Monday around the Riverwalk area. Is a main line that runs down through there. There's a lot of construction going on down through there, a lot of heavy equipment. There was a break. Our crew were down there all afternoon and into the night repairing that break. We did have some sewage get offline there, offsite into a tributary. The state has been notified. Gerard, our public works director, has submitted some forms and things like that. So it's been repaired. We got to go back and put a valve in place there. But that did occur. And like I say, the state's well aware of that. So no issues with environment or with the water, in Palisade River at this point. So also July 4th is on a Saturday. So we observe that on a Friday, July 3rd. Town hall will be closed that day. I think that's all I have.
But our trucks will be running for collection of garbage. Okay. Thank you, Josh. Okay, our next item is the consent agenda. Do we have any questions concerning the consent agenda in your packet?
Make a motion, we approve.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, please indicate by raising your hand and saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, item 9, employee dependent health insurance relief recommendation and resolution. That will be Josh Ward.
So we had a conversation several weeks ago about our large increase in health insurance and the negative effect on those that carry dependent coverage. When we calculate the figures on that, our finance director said that we had 3 that was negatively affected. We had reviewed, compensating those 3 employees to basically make sure that they were not negatively affected. We looked back through the IRS rules over the next few weeks after the board decided that that's the direction we would go. We found out that we cannot do that for random employees and their dependents. It would have to be across the board. So we looked at compensating, basically absorbing the first 2 dependent deductions after July 1st for all those employees with dependents. And at this point, it would cost the town around $8,000 for that. It would also cover anybody that added dependents within the year. So that is the recommendation, that we follow that process and weigh those first 2 deductions for those that have dependents going into the new budget year. Is there any questions on that?
Okay.
We're looking for an approval.
Yes.
Second.
Mhm.
Yep. I mean, somebody make a motion or?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I made the motion to approve.
Okay, there you go, sorry.
There's actually a resolution in your packet.
Bill made the.
And a resolution, correct. Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by raising your hand and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, our next item, the public hearing for the budget for fiscal year 2026-27. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor, please raise your hand, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We have an open public hearing now. And the next item in the hearing will be staff comments and recommendation. And I'll turn that over to our town manager, Josh Ward.
So an amendment to the budget message from May. On May 21st, staff presented the proposed 2-cent Highlands Fire District tax increase to the Macon County Board of Commissioners. On May 26th, the Macon County Board of Commissioners reconvened and approved a 1.03 cent increase to permanently fund the existing 6 full-time firemen at the Highlands Fire Department. Therefore, the proposed budget includes the Highlands Fire District tax rate of 2.94 cents per $100 evaluation. The addition of the 3 new firemen and the purchase of a new pumper truck are not included in the proposed budget for fiscal year 2026-27. The fiscal year 26-27 budget does include carryover to finish the Dog Mountain Waterline project. The SCADA system, road repairs, and road resurfacing will be completed within fiscal year 2026 and 27. That total carryover for the project is $1,140,000.
Okay. Any questions of Town Manager Ward? Hearing none, our next item will be public comment. I will now open the hearing for anyone from the public who would like to come forward, state your name and address, and make a public comment concerning what is in our proposed budget. I'll open up the floor now.
I'm Andy Schmar. You need my address. I'm outside the town,
Yes.
9911 Buck Creek Road.
Thank you.
I'm a former president of the library board and currently an ex officio member of the library board. Realize that in this budget, there's no money allocated for the project that the library is trying to undertake. But I wanted to thank you for your consideration and for your understanding in a very difficult budget year. We had the same outcome from the county, as you all well know, I believe. So we're stepping back. We're going to reevaluate what we're going to do. I think we'll come back. We may come back with a slightly different project. We are going to succeed in finishing the outdoor pavilion area. Hopefully we'll have a ribbon cutting in August for that if we stay on the current schedule. And then next year we'll look at the opportunity and come back to you and ask for your support again to do the interior. It's been 40 years since the interior, any significant work was done on the interior. That was a major project in 2008. I don't think there have been any public monies in the last 40 years that have been applied to this library, except for the maintenance funds that the county has provided as part of their lease agreement with the library and with Fontana. Challenging times for the library system, as we all know, with Macon County now deciding over the next year where they'll remove themselves from Fontana. It's going to be a different proposition this time next year if they do so in terms of fiscal reality for the county and the further challenges we'll face in trying to improve this library. So just wanted to thank you again for your consideration this year, and we hope to have greater success next year.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you very much. Do we have any other public comment? If you'll come forward, please.
If I could ask Andy Schmar, how much do you all need to do the inside of the library?
Our current estimate, now that prices are a year old, $910,000.
Okay.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comment? Hearing none, I will now entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Second, okay. All in favor, please indicate by raising your hand, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The public hearing is now closed, and the next item would be council action on the budget.
I'll start just comments. This is my first budget as a town commissioner, and I've just been very impressed with the staff and the ability of these commissioners and the mayor and the team to come to some sort of a consensus and work through issues and problems. It's sort of as many budgets as I've been through at the county level, it's sort of a breath of fresh air for me to watch the respect and just how the process works. I just wanted to thank everybody for that. And also like to thank Andy for his understanding with this. And I hope that if we get lucky and catch a winning lottery ticket, sell a trash truck, or sales tax revenues go up something where we get a little extra funds, I would like to see the addition of perhaps supporting the library and also maybe working our main street trees in. And if not, we'll maybe catch them next year.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yeah, I've got, I went through the process also for the first time, Jim, and I thought it was extremely detailed and collaborative and a lot of good work. I wanted to thank Josh for the work on the healthcare because, the healthcare premiums going up 50%. And then what you've ended up with by working with the coalition really has helped. I also wanted to say that, I'm really disappointed that the county did not fund the recommended fire tax. I mean, we had a public hearing. We had the fire chief talk about the equipment needs. We had a plan in place that funds equipment needs over time as they depreciate. But I know it's a county facility serving 60 square miles. It happens to be located here and staffed here, but I am disappointed. I mean, that the recommendation of the fire chief and the board here was not agreed to. And I think it was primarily, based on a couple of people that represent us. So that's disappointing to me.
Okay. Any other comments? I think all of us appreciate the work that staff and Josh, Rebecca Schuler have put in developing this new budget. It becomes more and more of a challenge and complicated as we go through each year. And I share your concern, Commissioner Grubb, that we're disappointed about the fire tax shortfall. It will not go away, and we'll have to, rethink and plan again and revisit that issue sooner than later. I will now entertain a motion that we approve this budget, and Josh, we should also include in that motion approve a budget resolution. Am I not correct?
Approve the budget ordinance.
Oh, budget ordinance, okay.
I'll be happy to make that motion.
Okay,
I'll second that.
I'll second it. And Gibby, are we good on
The
that?
fee schedule.
Include the fee schedule. There.
So
Okay,
the budget ordinance, the fee schedule as presented. Anything else?
Of the city and the pay scale.
and the pay.
And the pay scale.
So the budget would be to improve the budget ordinance, the increase in
Fee scale.
fees, and the pay
Pay
scale.
scale.
And I will second that as well.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask all in favor, please raise your hand and signify by saying aye. Okay, thank you. We have a unanimous vote that we now have a new budget for the coming year. Thank you very much.
Just for example, when I was talking about earlier, I think in my 11 budgets with the county, I think I had one that I sat through that was unanimous like that. Like tonight. And that's what I'm talking about, that been able to work through things. And it's really, really good.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, our next item will be the Mirror Lake dredging engineering update, and I'm going to ask Michael Hanson of McGill Associates to come and give us an update.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Just wanted to pause, make sure we get the presentation up.
It's up.
All right. So When I left here last month, I expected to be coming back this month with a plan for moving forward into design and permitting. But during that period of time, there was some new information that was brought to my attention. So we, at the request of the town manager, tried to quickly pivot and put some additional information together. We have been out to meet with a private property owner, and it appears as though we may have an opportunity to have disposal at an alternate site than one that we have been working on for the past year, that may end up with the ability to reduce the cost and therefore provide an ability to increase the overall dredge material that can be removed. So that's kind of the summary of what I want to talk about tonight. If we can go to the first slide. I also, as part of my discussions at the last month's meeting, was asked a number of questions related to permitting and some of the methodologies that we had proposed as far as the dredge activities themselves. So I do have a little bit of an update there. We have had some discussions with permitting agencies and just wanted to provide some of their feedback. First of all, we started this process and contacted the agencies first about a year and a half ago. Since that time, there have been some changes in agency personnel. So we wanted to reaffirm what we had been told previously was still in place with the new personnel that will likely be issuing the permits for this project. So that would be item number one, which was the phase two, the reasons that we've discussed in prior meetings about moving forward with a hydraulic dredge approach in phase two. And they reaffirmed that, yes, that was the approach that they felt was most conducive and would likely be able to be permitted through a nationwide permit. So the shorter permitting process. We talked briefly about the potential for doing dewatering of the lake and whether or not that was a potential, whether or not that created any concerns related to the permitting environment. The outcome essentially for phase two, the open water area downstream of the bridge, was that it was infeasible mainly because of the cost implications. They were going to be looking for a much more stringent water control plan, not only of the discharge of the water to remove from the lake itself, but also as the water's flowing in during normal flow events as well as during rain events, and how the contractor was going to be controlling that flow of water coming in and controlling the pollutants that would be removing. They're referring to pollutants, basically a sediment, the sediment that would be exposed and then washed down into the area that maybe had already been dredged, or other areas that were wetlands or around the perimeter of the lake that they're trying to prevent this deposition occurring in that area. They also noted that removal of that water and then the recovery of the water in the lake would end up being too long of a duration of time. We're talking about a very long time to draw down the lake to begin with, the period of construction to remove all the material, and then the period of time that it takes for nature to refill the lake extends beyond what they would believe to be a reasonable temporary impact to wetlands. And there are a number of areas around the lake that are identified as wetlands. They would then have impacts to the budget, because if they're considered permanent impacts, then there's a cost to buy down the permanent impacts or to mitigate them and try and replant the wetlands. And then there's monitoring that's ongoing for a couple of years to verify that the growth comes back in as planned. So with all of those things considered, our recommendation is to continue the course that was originally planned and approved by the board in one of our prior meetings, moving forward with basically dredging of the lake through hydraulic means and not through drawdown of the water. As we move into phase 3, so that would be the area upstream of the bridge on Mirror Lake Road. We had a similar discussion. They reaffirmed that for the type of activities that are proposed in that area, being either hybrid or mechanical dredge or a combination thereof, likely we will be looking at an individual permit. That will be a longer permitting process. All that's consistent with what we had talked about before. Here, the drawdown, because it's a drawdown of lesser volume of water, we could draw down the lake, basically make the upstream area, because it's very shallow, devoid of any standing water or backwater from the lake area. We still have the challenge of controlling the inflow of water that's coming from upstream. That will pose a significant challenge for the contractor during rain events or other times when we've got water coming into an otherwise dry area. And how do they prevent that from moving all that sediment into the downstream area? Then it becomes even more important because phase 3 is being done after phase 2. So now you have the potential of depositing material into phase 2 that you've just gotten done dredging. So there are some challenges there. It is not infeasible to work in that way. However, there are limited durations, as I mentioned before, on the amount of time that this area could be pumped down and maintained at basically a controlled flow level with water away from the channel banks where all of the wetlands are. With that and the higher risk of washouts, I think the offsetting time associated with the contractor having to respond to these types of potential events and the delays that it may cause to try and recover after those events. Again, we're recommending moving forward with the original plan, and wanted to just bring that additional information to the board. I guess at the next slide, starting with the option 2A, hybrid optimized recreation. The table 1 will be the same for the next 3 slides. That is summarizing the total volume. Again, that was a question that came up at the last meeting, was what was the volume anticipated to be removed from the different segments? Right now, we're anticipating that nearly 14,000 cubic yards will be removed from the upstream area referred to as phase 3. The downstream area we're anticipating 46,000 cubic yards, and the Mill Creek area with the 2 channels being dredged in would be 1,300 cubic yards for a total of 61,000 cubic yards over both phase 2 and phase 3. That is a reduction from the numbers that we were looking at earlier. And the reason that these numbers I'm reporting now is that this reduction was to offset the increased cost that needed to be incorporated into the project to do the things that were required at the landfill. So the improvements at the landfill, the management of the land, hiring a contractor to do the preliminary work and then close out the area. All of those were added costs to the project that were reducing the overall volume of the overall value, I guess, available within your funds to put towards removal of volume of material. And we were looking at that reduction occurring in the open water area. As of right now, as you can see, that's the majority of the volume of the removal over the numbers that we're seeing here. I will add that the phase 3 riverine area, so the area that's shown in the image here, we're looking at an average of about a 4-foot depth that would be resulting after the dredging has occurred throughout this area. And that's an average of 1 to 3 feet of removal of material.
I think
Yes.
we're 1 slide advanced. Am I correct?
Yes.
There.
Back up one more. There you go.
There. Okay, thanks.
Sorry about that. I'll try and be more
No, no,
particular about asking for slides. So here, the Riverine area, it is starting on your, on the far left of the slide as Mirror Lake Road, the far right of the slide. That was another question that came up at the last meeting, is just how far upstream are we going? Right now, the end point is identified at Lot K in Riverwalk Phase 1, Laurel Terrace. That's approximately 300 feet upstream of 355 Riverwalk Drive, which is the nearest existing residence that I found when I looked at Google Earth. So that's essentially where the end is currently chosen. That endpoint may vary depending on how we get responses back from permitting. Right now, all of this area is identified as open water. And as we work into permitting, we are expecting that there may be some disagreement between what we designated as open water and what they designate as river habitat. So that limit may change. And the reason for us trying to work in the open water is that the permitting requirements of working in the open water are less and potential mitigation costs are less versus working in the riverine area. So we'll bring that back to you as we get more information. We go through the actual jurisdictional determination with the agencies, which will be one of the first things that we do as we move forward into design. Okay, now next slide. This slide should be the image of the downstream area, basically the open water area downstream of Mirror Lake Bridge and Mirror Lake Road Bridge, sorry. Like, as I said, the numbers in the table are the same. I wanted to just point out here that phase 2 open water dredging, with this approach and these reduced numbers, we were anticipating an average of 7 to 8 feet of depth throughout the lake. And that was resulting in 1 to 4 feet on average of dredge volume removal over the surface of the lake. Obviously, that's different in different areas. There's pockets of deeper water already existing in the lake that won't need to be dredged, and other areas that are shallower that need to be dredged. We can go on to the next slide. This one is isolating the Mill Creek wetland area. And the blue lines that are shown in here are the 2 corridors that we had agreed to in option 2A. For everyone's memory, that was 2 paddle boat corridors, 10 to 15 feet wide, 1.5 to 2 feet deep. That includes an overall, right now, this scenario includes an overall area of wetland impacts across the entire project of approximately 0.25 acres. And the value of those wetlands are going to determine the cost of the mitigation. So the value as determined through the JD could range from $70,000 an acre up to $230,000 an acre. So that's the main reason that we're trying to minimize the wetland impact. As we work our way through the final design, these numbers will likely end up changing. There'll be areas that they'll identify as higher value wetlands, and other areas that'll be lower value wetlands. We'll be redefining the path of these wetlands. One of the comments, or I'm sorry, the canoe trails. One of the comments that was made by one of the regulators when we were on the phone earlier this week was that the path that is currently on the west side, that's the one that is mostly non-contiguous. It has open water up to about a third of the way up, and then it goes to pockets of open water interspersed with higher areas that are wetland and treed. They were encouraging us to do a very diligent effort of tying together the chain of open water as much as we could and limit the amount of area of impact. Because if we didn't, they felt like it was going to be very hard to justify making that circular loop area just for the purposes of recreation, given the amount of open water and other areas that are already available for recreation. So we'll be working with them through the permitting process to try and achieve this end goal of getting this loop trail through the wetland. And I think it's feasible based on the coordination that we had with them up to this point. All right. Now, next slide should be a blue table.
Yep.
Okay. I apologize. I meant to change the text to black to make it easier to read, but I missed this slide. So hopefully everyone can see it. Here, what I'm doing is making a comparison in the total volume of dredge that we're anticipating if we move down the path of utilizing the landfill as the disposal site versus using the alternate disposal site that's recently come to our attention. And the only number that's really changed is the downstream area of phase 2. I had told you previously, we have made a reduction in that area. If we're able to work in the direction utilizing the alternate disposal site, and based on the limited data I know today, projecting out savings related to not doing work at the landfill, and also projecting out what will likely be the cost of disposal at the alternate site. I think we can work our way back towards the original 61,000 cubic yards in the open water area. The difference that makes over the lake is taking us from the 7 to 8 feet of depth to the 9 to 10 feet of depth. So an average of about 2 feet of additional dredge depth over the open water area. Next slide. So dredge disposal, I tried to go through and do a brief comparison. And again, this is limited based on the data that I've been able to gather in the last couple of days. But I think we're fairly confident in being able to represent these general benefits, pros and cons, if you want to call it that. Landfill disposal is a column that is on the left, alternate disposal on the right. Landfill permitting, that would happen during design. That would no longer have to happen. Landfill improvements, that is cost associated with landfill design or during design, as well as cost during construction. That would no longer have to happen. Landfill closure activities, again, a design for permitting process and also a construction activity, no longer would have to happen. And then managing the disposal site during construction also would not have to happen if we worked in the direction of doing the alternate site. The offset is going to be, we're going to have a payment per truckload if we go to the alternate site. Going to the landfill, we're paying for in kind. So there isn't going to be payment per truckload. And then the other thing, we had talked briefly in the last meeting about the fact that there is a potential to overlap the construction activities during phase 2 and phase 3. Expecting that the phase 3 permitting will likely be authorized and approved during the time that phase 2 dredging is still ongoing. The ability to overlap those two activities and to have both dredging activities going on in phase 2 and phase 3 in the landfill disposal option is a much higher risk because we're already dealing with a contractor on the site and either another contractor at the landfill managing that site or the same contractor in phase 2 managing that site. So the only way that you don't end up with a conflict between the contractors trying to occupy and one managing the other's disposal at the landfill is that phase 3 is also under the same contract, and we won't be able to guarantee that. If we move to the alternate disposal site, all of those issues generally go away because the permitting is the responsibility of the owner. The management of the site is the responsibility of the owner. Closure activities are all the responsibility of the owner. So there is a significant benefit, I think, in reduction of complexity for the town to consider as they're looking at their different options for contracting these services. Moving in the direction of the alternate disposal site becomes much simpler from your perspective as far as having to manage ongoing construction with potentially 3 different contractors. All right, next slide. So What we did send to you and should have been included in your package tonight is Amendment 1, and that is the alternate disposal investigation. We have started, as I said before, doing some of the preliminary due diligence to be able to provide you information tonight and just determine whether or not this is a viable option. As I know today, I think it is a viable option, and I think it does potentially offer some cost savings depending on what the ultimate cost of disposal turns out to be. What I would propose is that you authorize us to proceed with these, what should be 6 tasks. I'm sorry, item number 6 should have been an inset, not another task. I'm happy to go through them in more detail or answer any questions that you have, but they should be fairly straightforward. Basically, it's gathering the information to verify all of the things that we have been told up to this point in just verbal conversations, one at the site today and one on the phone earlier this week. Trying to get confirmation so that if we then bring this back to you at the end of this process, we are able to affirm that all of these things are indeed in place and true, and we've been able to verify and validate. At that point, you all can make then a decision on moving forward with the landfill disposal or this alternate site disposal with a little bit more confidence rather than just relying on gather hearsay up to this point. So that's really the intent of what Amendment 1 is to cover. Next steps, and this would be basically focused on what McGill is asked to do, is completion of the alternate disposal investigation, assuming that we are authorized to proceed with Amendment 1, presentation of findings back to the board, preparation of Amendment 2, that then would be based on a full understanding of your decisions on which site we're going to do alternate disposal, or we're going to do disposal at. And then we can more clearly define for you what are the steps that are needed, what are the permits that are needed, and put that in place, bring that back to you for approval. And then completion of design, submittal and permit submittals, preparation of phase 2 bid package, phase 2 construction administration as that goes underway, preparation of phase 3 bid package as permits come in related to that, and then phase 3 construction administration. So it's fairly consistent with the schedules that we brought to you before, but obviously now I don't have dates because I've got a few other things we need to settle down on exactly what happens when. So then the next time we come in, as we're moving forward from phase 2, or I mean, sorry, Amendment 2, we will bring back to you another projected schedule and be able to tell you. I think that one of the other benefits of moving down the path with the alternate disposal site is that I think we can gain some time because there will be less permitting activities related to the landfill site. And right now, we're assuming that those are going to overlap with the environmental permitting that we're doing for the dredge sites. There's a potential that that could drag out. We don't know that yet. So the assumption is overlap and hopefully it'll all happen at the same time. But we may end up with some delay related to the disposal site versus having phase 2 authorized. And if that were to occur, then we wouldn't have to go through that additional permitting step that could reduce some overall time in the project. Lastly, I was also asked to bring back some information about board decisions. So I did want to highlight at least those that I know of today. Authorization of Amendment 1 that's before you tonight. Disposal site selection as we bring the information from Amendment 1 back to you. Entering into final agreements. I do want to highlight that we can do the technical aspects of the alternate disposal site, verifying permitting, capacity, those types of things. But ultimately, there will have to be a negotiation between the town and that landowner on what the actual cost is going to be. We're happy to do that for you if you want us in that position. But as of right now, I'm assuming that the board or someone appointed by the board is going to undertake that negotiation. Obviously, the result of that negotiation will have an impact on our final cost projections for the projects. As we move forward from there, authorization of Amendment 2 to proceed with design permitting. And then obviously, as we go through bidding process, you all will be in the position of doing contractor selection for phase 2, as well as contract selection for phase 3, and determining whether or not we want to try and do an overlap on phase 2 and phase 3 for contractor activities, or if we want to separate the two of those. So that's everything that I had as an update today. Hopefully this is, I think, at least in what I've been able to discern so far, good news. And hopefully it does provide some additional information to the board so that you can decide how to proceed. I'm certainly open to answer any questions.
Well, you kind of alluded to it there just a second ago. So based on everything you found out so far and realize it's very, very preliminary with the private homeowner or property owner.
Yes.
Assuming that all of that pans out and all is good, tell me the negative. Is there one?
I think the biggest negative is that there is still an unknown in everything that we're doing up to this point related to what that actual cost is going to be. Obviously, there is going to be that offset of what that cost is, and that has implications on the overall benefit that's derived from not pursuing the already negotiated landfill disposal site. So that would be, I see one downside. I think it can be resolved. I'm not really aware of any other downsides that I have identified thus far.
Okay.
So
really the unknown is the only downside.
Yeah, following up on that. So they're going to have to go through permitting. You said that would be their responsibility for the
They're
spoil.
permitted.
So the information I have thus far is that permits are already in place.
Okay. Then that's,
What we're doing
then that's
under
what you're gonna
Amendment 1
verify.
is to verify that permits are in place.
okay.
And that you as a government body
Right.
are agreeing to, if you move in this direction, make that disposal site a disposal site at an approved site.
Got it.
And that'll be something that we're required also to provide as part of our permitting for the dredging, is that we've got to identify what site it's going to and the fact that it is indeed an approved site. So we are going to get as much information as we can related to permits, permit numbers, contacts from permit agencies. The permit that I'm told is in place is somewhat different from the permitting that we would go through for the landfill, because the landfill is going to be state regulated
Right.
permitting. And this property owner happens to be in an area where it's federally regulated.
Got it.
So it's not something that we have any access to at this point. That's why we're going to end up having to rely on that person to provide that information back to us.
Yeah, so maybe just a comment instead of a question. I was behind you on the screen at the last presentation, but just a comment was, there were a lot of people from the audience that came up and asked a lot of questions. There were people who clearly had some experience, in different points in their lives doing this. And I was very impressed with your depth of knowledge, your ability to answer the questions. And I think that, I know the first phase of the dredging was private. This is the approved money. Keeping in mind that the whole remit of the public money was to protect the downstream water supply for Highlands.
Yes.
I felt very impressed with your knowledge, and it seems to be a very professional process. So I'm in favor of the Amendment 1.
Thank you.
Okay.
Number 2.
Yeah, I
Anybody
agree.
else?
Amendment 1's kind of a no-brainer here.
Yeah.
We need to figure
I
out.
do.
And you need direction from the board now to pursue
Right.
Amendment 1.
Yes, sir.
Jim has something too.
Yes.
So is Amendment 1, this agreement that we're approving tonight, which is basically approving more funds for your firm's services?
That is correct.
So, but what I'm reading in here, it doesn't, not all of these items listed deal with the investigation of, it has like Highlands Transfer Station site visits. I don't know what that has to do with inspection of the new site.
Yesterday?
Yes.
So
That's-
are you
there's
referring
other,
to the items listed on page 1?
yes.
Okay, so The items listed on page 1 is a summary of things that have been done up to this point.
Okay.
They were done at the direction of the town during the last year-long period for us to investigate the landfill site and work towards getting an agreement to utilize that site before the information related to this alternate site had been brought to our attention. We had made contact with this landowner at the very beginning of this process.
Right.
And had some initial discussions with that person. At that time, they'd indicated to us that they had no interest in receiving this material. So events have changed that have created a change in this person's decision-making. And they are now open to receiving this material. And I think that that does work to the benefit of the town. If you want to look to the actual elements of work that we're anticipating to do now under Amendment 1, please refer to page 2.
Yeah, got that.
Okay.
But I was just kind of looking at page 1 and trying to wrap my head around.
Yeah, so
some
that's why.
Some of these items on there, because it seems like it should have been they should have been handled with our first agreement with
They were.
McGill and not
They
the
were.
second agreement. I
Yes,
just want
it
to make
was
sure.
that's simply a summary of everything that's taken place. And I included
Okay,
here
I'm with you.
because there was no written agreement during our original contract when we pivoted to incorporate this work. So I wanted to document what work had been done in place of or in lieu of the tasks that were included there to begin with.
Okay, well, I'm gonna read it here to you. During the execution of the design and permitting tasks of the agreement, it was determined that additional tasks, the original defined scope, were necessary prior to bidding and construction. These additional services generally included, but were not limited to the following. So these items listed, you're considering as additional tasks from the original agreement. I mean, that's the way I'm reading this.
That is correct. And I guess to try and explain in a different way, our original agreement took us through preliminary design and then moved into design and permitting. And as we were going from the preliminary design, we had gotten through a decision point by the board to move forward with option 2A. We had also started looking at disposal options and identified that the landfill at that time looked like it was going to be the most likely disposal option available to the town. And at that point, through discussion with the town manager, we had identified that it appears as though we've got a fair bit of information that we need to gather related to the viability of utilizing the landfill for disposal. So all of these tasks are tasks that have already been done that were not included in the original agreement. And that was the whole purpose.
You get where I'm going with this then, but all these tasks are already done, but we're not getting this agreement until after you've already completed them.
That is correct.
Okay.
Because
now it's starting to make sense. Because I was
Yes.
like, this isn't.
So and for that very reason, because we were working on verbal direction on proceeding down this path, and we reported back to this board on the activities that we were doing at that time. I wanted to go ahead and document it.
Okay.
For the purposes of everyone being able to say, yes, this was done, and it was utilizing funds that were allocated for other reasons. So as we move forward into Amendment 2,
So
we will see a return to getting additional funding for design.
So by doing, you were just taking a leap of faith that we're going to approve this.
No,
you.
I was working at the direction of the town manager and reporting back to the board.
Okay.
I ask a quick question, just, so 76,000 cubic yards, 10 yards a truck, 7,000 plus trucks.
Yes, sir.
No wonder it's going to take 2 years.
And I was going to bring up a similar question when we talk about noise and disruption. And I just I think we need to be real upfront with the neighborhood folks. This is going to be a disruptive process to remove that much sediment from that area and transport it. It's just
For 2 years.
for 2 years. It is the challenge. This is
Yep.
what we have to do. It's
That's-
got to go somewhere.
Correct. it needs to be removed from that location. There's really only one way to do that, and
Yeah.
that's by truck.
Right. Thanks. Okay. So we need to give direction on proceeding with Amendment 2. And also, you brought up the idea of negotiation with the landowner,
Yes, sir.
that we could do that, or your firm could also provide
We're
that
happy
service.
to do that on your behalf if you would like us to do that. I just didn't want to assume that was what you wanted us to do.
Okay.
I feel comfortable doing that.
You're a volunteer?
Well,
I will too.
Okay.
Well, we would have to know what the cost is of the landfill disposal, so we would know what the offset was.
well, I mean, it's,
If the trucking
yeah.
per truck cost.
Correct. And at the time that as we work our way through Amendment 1, we come back before you, I'll be happy to go into a more detailed breakdown of what costs were associated with the construction activities and the engineering activities related to the landfill
Mhm.
versus then the cost of per truckload, so that you can make that comparison. I didn't break that down tonight because I felt it was probably getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. We don't know what that number is yet related to the per truckload, so I don't have anything to compare it to.
Well, the per truckload, might that not be a negotiation point?
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. Especially based on the volume we're talking about.
Right, right.
I mean, we know what the truckload cost is for anybody else that takes stuff there now. So we have a
Right.
starting point for somebody who takes 2 trucks versus 760 trucks or whatever.
7,000.
7,000
Yeah.
trucks.
Right.
So,
Yeah, so.
yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, certainly a negotiation. point.
But
yeah.
if we develop that site at the landfill, which is an auxiliary road, access road, and then a secure area to where we start depositing the sediment, they're not going to charge us a fee.
It's in kind.
They're not going
That's
to
in
waive or
common.
anything.
Yes,
Right.
but that
But
was
the
the
cost of developing that site
Mhm.
versus if we can take it directly to the existing site, we have to make a decision, what's the most.
Yes, that's I wouldn't say that's all of the cost. That's a majority of the cost is the in-kind improvements that you're making to the site. But then there's also the management cost during the time that the disposal is going on, which won't be insignificant because you will have to be paying a contractor to be out there on a regular basis to manage and move and with equipment to manage and move that material around.
Yes.
And in this case, the alternate site, the owner is responsible for doing that.
Yeah.
All we're doing is dumping it where he wants us to dump it and then leaving. So the town doesn't bear that cost either. And that's going to be a fair amount of money based on the time, the duration. It's not difficult work, but you're talking about manpower and equipment being out there for a duration of 1.5 to 2 years. And that's not inexpensive.
Okay. And really even the negotiation with the property owner, this isn't necessarily the time. We need a lot more information.
Correct.
Before we start that process. Yeah. Okay.
So you don't have a projection then of what that cost is, not to this new location, but what the old one was going to be yet? You have a rough idea? Is it going to be $1 million or?
So I do have the information and I can compile that and deliver it to you prior to our next meeting if you'd like me to do that.
I just
You
didn't
think
know if
that
you
the-
might know offhand.
Yeah, I do know that we were looking at the improvements alone at the landfill to likely be in the $500,000 range.
Okay.
To implement those. And then the long-term costs associated with the management and the closure, as well as offsetting the additional permitting that's required for the landfill could easily be another $500,000.
Yep.
So yeah, I think ballpark that's reasonable and I can get you a more specific number.
I just wanted to,
Yeah, that gives us a starting point.
yeah, thank you.
Gives us a ballpark.
Okay. Mike, do you have the direction that you need from the board at this point?
Yeah, I guess at this point I do. I would ask, if we are going to move forward with Amendment 1, That was really the action that I needed this evening. And then from there, I'll be more than happy to bring this information back to you as we're gathering it. I would propose to hopefully have everything available at your next board meeting.
Okay,
And we will keep Josh aware of our progress. And then, like I said, if you would like all to have the projections for the costs associated with the landfill, then we'll be more than happy to provide that to you
That'll be
prior to
helpful.
this meeting.
Yeah.
So do we need a motion?
I make a motion to approve Amendment 1 to the agreement for engineering services.
okay.
Second.
Discussion.
All in
Discussion,
favor?
discussion.
Discussion.
I'm gonna tell you, I have some heartburn on this agreement. I feel like, in my opinion, that there's some of these items that should have been in the initial agreement, some of this investigation work. I am gonna vote for it because I think it needs to move forward. I don't want to hold y'all back, but, I do have some heartburn. Anyway, I'm ready. Thank you. Let me get that off my chest.
Sure. Any other comments? I'll call the question. All in favor, please raise your hand. Signify by saying aye. Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Okay, item 12, Code of Ordinances, Article 2, Noise Ordinance. We've had now 2 workshops. We have this on the agenda. I would like to get direction from the board on how to proceed with this proposed amendment at this time.
I'm good with giving it a whirl. I mentioned that earlier, so.
Say what?
I'm good with giving it, these new recommendations a go.
Yes.
See how it works.
Yeah,
It may
and-
be great. It may start to function good for our police, and it may not, but I think it's worth it.
And I
Worth a
don't,
chance.
We've had to change it before, so.
Yeah,
I mean, it's.
and I don't know that this, I can't say the conversation is probably 100% over because there's other discussions that, Commissioner Patterson brought up that we may want to still discuss in the future, but, between the amendments made, within North Carolina ordinances, and North Carolina laws, I should say, that have been changed, by our attorney and with our senior police staff, I'm in favor of it as well for now.
Yep.
Okay.
And the revision packet is actually in the work session.
Correct.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking for.
So I make a motion to approve the ordinance amending the Town of Highlands Code of Ordinances for the noise ordinance, as presented in the work session agenda packet.
I'll second.
Your second? Okay, do we have any further discussion?
Well, I'm not real sure about it yet, because it's a complicated thing, and it's got so many different ways that you can interpret it. Just reading through it, I can interpret it 3 different ways, and so I'm not sure we're giving the police chief what she needs.
But allow her to work through it and come back if it was changed. Which is probably.
Are we giving you what you need in the short term? Yeah.
It's always gonna be a little bit.
And I know we
Which
heard a
is
lot of,
simpler.
we heard a lot of discussion about, leaf blowers and all those sorts of things. And I realized,
Those were just.
no, I understand that.
those
We've
were
heard it
just
from several people.
Examples
That's
of noise.
no,
nuisances.
understand, but I mean, unfortunately, at this point, we might want to revisit that part of it simply from a standpoint, like if the town's going to do it at 6 a.m., then maybe the town needs to buy electric backpacks and
Well,
those sorts of
well,
things.
and
But
and that's a different
Yeah,
discussion.
I know, that's
But
what I'm
I
saying.
I think that the simplest thing is you just get rid of outside amplified.
I'm not in favor of that at all. I mean, I counted in my head as you go around, there are 9 commercial businesses that play music outside on a daily basis. I do think they should be allowed to do it when they're open and during these hours. But I mean, you start at Mountain Fresh and go up both sides of the street and come down, there are 9, and even in other districts, go up the hill. They're mostly outdoor dining.
Right, dining outdoors.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Which means, do they do it when
So
they're open?
nine business, yeah, when they're open, yes, but that's, yeah, having your music playing at 2 in the morning
No,
and
no,
your
no, I'm
doors are
not,
locked.
I'm talking about 3 hours before you open.
Right, I understand that. I'm not aware of that being the case of anywhere, but, nobody's ever stated that to me as a complainant.
So is
But-
it that they had, somebody actually has to be outside?
Well, you mean what do you mean outside? Like if it's at Highlander
The
Mountain
patron.
House, somebody has to actually be sitting at a table in
The
order to have
patron.
music playing on the,
Mhm.
that's just another step for the police, but I think we can continue to discuss it, but we have this, I think this is a starting point.
What, starting point, but does that mean I mean, we pass it now, we're gonna throw it on the shelf for a while.
No, it doesn't have to. You can bring it right back up.
Learn it pretty quick.
Any further discussion? We have a motion on the floor
Second.
and a second. Hearing no further discussion, I'm going to call the question. All in favor, please signify by raising your hand and saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right, 4 and 1 opposed. The motion carries and the ordinance has been amended. Thank you. All right, our next item, number 13, SRF Helene Relief Grant for Waterline Replacement Projects, Engineering Agreement and Project Ordinance. Josh Ward.
Well, as I informed the board a couple months ago, we did receive another Helene Relief Grant for the waterline replacement projects. There was 5 separate. This before you tonight is a task order from McGill Associates for the engineering for these projects. Also in front of you is a project ordinance that will need to be adopted in order for it to go over different years, different budget years as we move forward. The task order includes the engineering report, design, permitting, the bid and award, and then a construction oversight and funding administration.
Okay. Any questions of
So you need
Josh?
separate,
Do we need one motion or separate? All in one.
Or second. However y'all want it.
Anyone like to make a motion?
I'm just looking at that.
I'm okay now.
Here, go, yeah.
this is,
Here we go. Task order. Engineering.
Yeah, I just,
this is for a grant entirely? This is for a grant
Yes,
and it's not a low-cost loan or
100%
100%?
forgiveness.
Okay.
Principal forgiveness, yes, 100%.
It was a real opportunity for us to receive that.
Yes, there'll be
Yep.
another one come before you for the wastewater. We haven't gotten any official intent to fund on that yet, but you'll see another one over the next couple months.
Okay.
so I just want to make sure I understand. So I'm just looking at section 1. So we're defining the length, the locations, and then their scope of services. What I'm not totally clear on, and I'm sorry for being dense, is the money already allocated to us and this is the process to spend it? Or is this
Yes.
the survey in order to get the money?
No, it's already awarded to us.
Okay,
And we've got a letter of intent to fund, and then this is the first step where we start moving forward, and it'll probably be a 2-year process
okay.
before we're able to actually start the project.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, just want to clarify too, that we need to make sure we have a vote on the resolution and a vote on the ordinance. Those are two
Okay.
separate legal
All right,
items.
thank you, Nick.
I'm gonna go back to my heartburn again. with McGill, sometimes on page 267, which is page 3.
Yep.
The very top line under assumptions and exclusions says services not described in the above scope of services are not included. When you're paying somebody roughly $500,000-$600,000 almost, and then they're coming back and nitpicking us on things that, in my opinion, they're charging us extra for on things that they 100%, in my opinion, should have included in their first round. It's just my dealing with McGill through the years. It's frustrating. This gives me a lot of heartburn. That's a lot of money. Yep.
Is there another engineering firm that could do this? Or is
We have 3 municipal service agreements.
Mhm.
So McGill assisted us in getting this grant. And that's why we're going with them. We have a different engineer on Dog Mountain. We have a different one on the improvements at the water treatment plant. And you're gonna have similar estimates. And that's just, that's just
It's the way the system works.
Is there
the way
some,
the system works.
is there
I
some,
understand. I just was asking.
And I do understand.
is there something in the scope that you think is not there that should be there? I mean.
What's that now?
Is there something in the scope that you think is not there that should
Well,
be
I
there?
don't
or-
know, but they do it all the time. It's just like this dredging project, and then they're coming back here, I need more money, I need more money
Well,
for
I mean,
things they should have had. And I'll go into detail. I mean, I'm happy to go into details on that last this additions to the last one, that in my opinion, they should have been in the very first contract. Or if I made that mistake, if it was my company, I would probably eat it and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe I made that mistake. I'm not going to come ask for you to pay for it. Are you catching what I'm saying?
yeah. But I didn't see on the amendment a dollar value.
They're going to charge us by the hour.
It's hourly.
And some of those rates are $300 an hour. And when you're paying somebody for that, to me, some of the stuff that they're charging us for is stuff that they should have known about up front. Should have been in that very first contract that we agreed to with them. And now we're having to pay them more because they didn't foresee some of these meetings with, for permitting and stuff. I mean, of course, we're going to be getting permits. You ought to know that. There ought to be time in there for that. And now we're having to pay for it on top of that. Maybe I'll sit down with you and kind of explain.
Yeah.
what
Well,
I'm seeing.
I guess.
I'm not doing a
when
very
I
good
see
job.
something, it
My
says
blood
this-
pressure's up with this. I'm not doing a good
the-
job of explaining
The
it.
scope of
You're doing a good
services
job.
is design and permitting. I assumed that was all going to be in there.
Yeah. Yeah. And you got what we were just talking about on Mirror Lake. You would think that some of the stuff that we're getting ready to pay them extra for, I think it should have been in the initial agreement. They should just take care of that. And I'll give you some specific examples that I think it just should have been in there and we shouldn't be paying additional for it,
So.
but we
do you have-
are.
Do you have some specific things? that
Nothing on
need in
here. Well,
there?
I don't have enough knowledge about it to know, but it wouldn't surprise me if they come back with that little line there and say, hey, just like they did on this Mirror Lake one and say, hey,
I don't know
this
that,
wasn't in there.
I think with the Mirror Lake, though, the extra charges we're going to incur is now shifting over to this alternative site. The cost of.
Yes.
Doing that.
Some of it, but some of that was
pays.
not. And that's what I was asking them, that some of that work they've already done, and then we're getting this agreement after he's already done the work. And that's what I was saying. So is it a leap of faith that you're taking with us, that we're going to pay it? And he's like, no, he's working at staff's direction. Well, we didn't know that it was an addition. I don't know if Josh knew it was an addition, but he just said that here in front of us.
well, Josh, can you think of any other time that we've had McGill come back and put on an amendment that makes us pay a whole lot more?
No, I'm not aware of any, but I will say that the dredging has been a different animal.
Right.
I mean, what you have here is replacement of water lines, so it's going to be pretty straightforward on this, but I think the dredging, it could go a number of different directions. And I think it's been very prolonged and confusing at times, to get to where we're at this point. And now we have this alternate direction, which I think is good. And I think will save money in order to dredge more, and Commissioner Tate, and I had talked about that. But I was not aware that they had not charged. I thought basically what had occurred up to now had been under an agreement, initial agreement.
You got it. Yeah.
To proceed, that the board give direction for them to proceed with.
Right. So I have a question about this. This agreement is time sensitive? You see where I'm going with this? I'm not saying yay or nay today. I'm not, but does this need to be approved today? Can we go back and have the discussion with them about some of those elements doing with the dredging? And I realize these are two different things, and ask them what is perceived or what is a potential for scope of services that we don't see. I mean, I just think being a little less.
I think we could explain this. They need to come to us ahead of time if they're doing something that's outside
Yeah.
of this.
They can't do anything
Before-
additional without
without-
financial approval.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And I think we can stipulate that in
I
this.
think that's a good way of putting it. And I need to put that assumptions and exclusions #1 in every contract I ever do. That's a good one.
But I think this process to get this going, because like I say, it's going to
Well,
take another 2 years to,
If we approve this, then we can give the directive
yes.
to our manager that it would be that case. No additional work happens unless we approve that
Right.
scope
Up front.
upfront.
Okay.
Based on that, I make a motion to approve.
Well, and the other thing is the grant pays for all this.
Pardon me?
The
Well,
grant
yeah,
pays
it
for all
does,
this.
but also you know how the grants have worked so far. We have an amount for the grant. And then when we go over, we end up paying for it. So if
Yeah,
we
but-
could save money anywhere. But I make a motion to approve the
Resolution.
are we doing the resolution first?
Nick, let's let
There's
Nick
two
tell us
elements on
again exactly. It's resolution and ordinance.
They just need to be said.
Yeah,
two
you just need separate votes on each one. It doesn't matter which one you do first. You could probably do the resolution first and then the ordinance.
Okay, well, I make a motion to approve the Helene relief grant for waterline replacement projects. Well, actually, project ordinance. Motion in place.
Second.
And you gave a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your hand, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And then the next motion would be,
And I also make a motion to approve the Helene relief grant for waterline replacement projects engineering agreement with the understanding that any additional services will be pre-approved by this board.
okay,
Second.
second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please
Aye.
raise your hand, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We've got that covered. Item number 14, resolution encouraging collaboration and engagement regarding healthcare services in Western Carolina. Our good friend, who represents the Hospital Advisory Board, Brian Steeler, made a statement, and I've had a discussion with Brian. I've discussed these issues with Tom Neal. Yes, I am. Have worked with Senator Mayfield. I've been involved in Reclaim Healthcare WNC. I'm also on the Southwestern Commission Executive Board that passed this ordinance just at the last meeting. And this is the resolution that they passed. I'm asking that we consider passing it tonight. But before that, let me just make a statement. I've been an advocate for healthcare access the past decade. It's a critical part of this regional development in this region, Western Carolina. I've been a supporter of our hospital, and I continue to do so. Like Mayor Guffey, who his Board of Aldermen passed this resolution last month. This is not a criticism of the local hospitals in the HCA system. I'm very delighted at the operation of our hospital here in Highlands, as is Mayor Guffey with Angel Medical. When the sale of Mission Healthcare to HCA was rolled out in 2018, I, along with Bob Scott, the then Mayor of Franklin, studied the asset purchase agreement that Attorney General Josh Stein would have to approve. Just didn't study it, but at the time, there was a lawyer in town, Barrett Hawks, who was a national expert on asset purchase agreements, and he advised both of us concerning this proposed purchase. We even traveled to Raleigh to meet with the Attorney General's staff to discuss the concerns we had about the sales. Bob and I were both very troubled about the provisions guaranteeing the outlying local hospitals staying open for 5 years before hospital closures could occur. We were also worried about ensuring basic critical services being available to all facilities in the 18-county service area of Western Carolina. I will interject. When I voiced those concerns, I was put under a lot of criticism, a lot of pressure from the then Mission Hospital, Ron Paulus, the person who was promoting this and looking back on the $1.5 billion purchase, very undervalued in my opinion and others. I was put under pressure by their attorneys. I was put under pressure by people in this town saying, Mayor, say nothing, get on board, this is a great deal. But I spoke out because I thought it was the best interest of this community that there be this discussion. Attorney General Josh Stein approved the sale with 17 key stipulations that were met by HCA once they was to be met by HCA once they own Mission Hospital. One of the stipulations was to keep the outlying hospitals open for a minimum of 10 years instead of the 5 originally proposed. Another was to provide access to basic medical services throughout the system. In a recent assessment by Affiliated Monitors, and that's the new monitors that Dogwood Health Trust brought in to verify that the 17 stipulations had been met, because, to be quite frank, Dogwood was concerned about the issues with HCA also. That company indicated that they could not verify that a couple of those original stipulations had not been fulfilled by HCA. Current concerns, as reflected in the proposed resolution, are driven by the fact that the flagship HCA hospital in Asheville is the only Class 1 emergency trauma center for Western Carolina. While the outlying local hospitals are functioning well, there's no argument on that. Many of the Western Carolina residents using these facilities will be sent to this trauma center in Asheville or sent to Mission in Asheville for needed treatment. Our hospitals are feeder systems into this major facility. For that matter, other Western Carolina hospitals not in the HCA system also send critically ill patients to that facility in Asheville. It's a central resource for regional health care. And let me add this. I'm not trying to bash HCA Mission in Asheville. They provide some very, very good services, surgical services and so forth. But there are problems there, and that's what my concern is. In the past 2 years, that critical center has been placed in 4 occasions in what we call immediate jeopardy by the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services. This designation reveals a serious life-threatening problems that need immediate corrective action. An immediate jeopardy designation, if correction is not taken, means that Medicaid and Medicare reimbursements will not be accepted by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Such a situation would have disastrous consequences for the people in the entire region. This is a recurring problem. There's been 4, also one at Blue Ridge. And it's caused many of the stakeholders in the region to request the leadership of HCA to engage in a community dialogue about how HCA will continue to address these clear ongoing problems. So such immediate jeopardy declarations no longer occur. There have been 10 towns that have passed this resolution or one similar, including Franklin at their last meeting in May. There have been 2 regional planning organizations, the Land of Sky and the Southwestern Commission, that have also passed this resolution or a similar resolution that you have before you tonight. I have the hope that you will act and pass this resolution. I know elected officials and community stakeholders stand eagerly and ready to engage and communicate with HCA leadership. Wanted to also put out some other concerns that I have. And like I say, I'm an advocate for healthcare. I'm an advocate for our hospital. I know it's critical to the future of this community. But with those 4 immediate jeopardy declarations, there have been, in the opinion of the people that instituted those declarations, 9 avoidable deaths occurring at Mission Asheville. It's a matter of consciousness to me that I've spoken up tonight, and I know that people will say I'm trying to undermine our hospital here. My hope is that all of these issues will be addressed. HCA is an outstanding, healthcare system. If they are addressed, I think it will benefit not only Mission Asheville, but all of the outstanding hospitals, and there'll be, renewed confidence in, the services that are provided. And like I say, they have many good services there. The hope is that this recurring problem with immediate jeopardies can be corrected and is no longer a problem to be of concern for anybody in Western Carolina. So with that, I will entertain any questions or concerns or whatever the board would like to say.
Okay, if anybody else does. Mr. Mayor, I remember specifically riding with you to Asheville to meet with a Mission and HCA leadership when that initial discussion of purchase came up, and how disenchanted we both felt following that meeting and our ride home. And yeah, it was perplexing, but I know how much you care for it. I know how much you care for this town and the hospital, and passionate enough to bring this up and try and push it through. But then we're also here from a prior town commissioner here tonight who's also passionate about him, has the heart,
Right.
that he feels like he has the town in his heart too. So it's sort of interesting to have this sort of, he's asking us not to pass it, but for the reasons he mentioned tonight. And then you're asking us for the reasons you mentioned. So it's sort of perplexing to me, sort of an interesting quandary for us to decide and discuss. So.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would just say, I don't see any problem with the citizens who are served by something, making sure that the people who are providing those services are accountable for doing it correctly. And isn't that all we're asking them to do? We're just, we don't, it's like your engineering thing. They just do it any way they want to. We have no oversight. We have nothing to say about it. I don't think this is anything more than saying, we recognize that there are problems at Mission, and we think that we want to have it addressed. We don't want it to just roll over and then suddenly trickle down to our hospitals. It's not something that we're saying that they're bad or good or anything else. It's just acknowledging the situation and saying that let's find a solution to it. But we need to let them know that we recognize the situation. They can't just say, oh, there's no problem, don't worry about it. Because it's our healthcare that's going to be affected. And I don't think there's anything wrong in just saying, let's make sure that this is done correctly. And not just because we are the people who are representing the people who get the services there. We're not the stockholders who want the price to stay up. We're the people who are getting the services, and we want to make sure that those services are not second to anything. That would be my take on it. I don't see this as a resolution of being accusatory or anything, or we want to get out or anything like that. It's just, we recognize that there's problems, and we want you to recognize that there are problems, and we want you to recognize that we recognize that there are problems.
Yeah,
And that's work. Yeah.
and I understand where you're coming from. I just know that, and I've only been on this board for 2.5 years. And during that time, every time we've done a resolution similar to this, it generally, I'm not saying this is written that way. I'm just saying people that don't read it and understand it just view it as something negative, that we're trying to have somebody correct something. I'm just saying, I think it's a negative. It's just my own personal feeling. And like I said, it doesn't specifically say that. But that, I mean, every time we've done a resolution in the past, it's been, it has been, like, we don't want you to do this. This is, we don't agree with this. We don't, I realize there's no real true negativity necessarily.
But if you don't have a negative, you have to have both sides.
Well, I
If
understand
you
that.
don't have a negative, then you have no accountability, no feedback, no anything. You have to be able to have accountability and feedback. Or they don't, or they may not even realize. It's not necessarily that they're consciously doing it. It's just that they need to be aware that we are aware. And there needs to be something done about it. And I think that's all the resolution is for. Is you do actually have some eyes on you.
So didn't
Go ahead.
HCA just get approval to add more beds and build a new facility?
They did.
So someone at the state level and the regulatory level thinks that they're doing a good enough job to be awarded that
That is kind of a,
tacit
question.
approval.
Some people.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know that I've certainly read a lot about it. My wife's a nurse, and something we talk about. And I think a lot of the stuff that it does seem like there's an active dialogue. There's an oversight group with Dogwood. I don't know. It does feel negative to me. I agree with Jeff. I don't know why.
Just mentioning that, and to Brian, he's on the hospital board. He feels like it's a negative too.
Yeah, so I mean,
So
just taking everything I've heard
Yeah.
and read and thinking about if they were just given approval to actually expand.
But every time somebody tells me, oh, I didn't like your vote, or I didn't like your opinion, or whatever, it makes me go back and reevaluate and rethink things.
Yeah.
Okay, that's negative. That's the yin and the yang. That's the negative and the positive. And the only way that you can actually assess things and make things get better is if you have somebody who actually looks and says, wait, that's not right.
But I think that's what Brian says, though. He thinks this potentially could make it worse
Well-
than actually helping the
well-
situation. And I think that's how I felt that he was speaking out against it. So.
Obviously.
And the
I think
converse
that's
to
a-
that would be not to say anything, and it could also get worse too.
Right, that's to me, that's kind of a
I don't think I
a
have.
cop out. I don't want
Yeah.
to say anything because I don't want anybody to get mad at me, or I don't want to put a negative spin on it. Whereas if you actually look at it I want that feedback to find, so I can do better.
Hmm.
You put yourself in this position when someone.
I mean, yes, I don't like it, but it's important
Yeah.
to actually do better.
Yeah.
That you get it.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Quandary.
So let's move this along. I'll make the motion that we approve this resolution.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I just don't feel like I have enough knowledge.
I don't either.
Okay. We have a motion, but we do not have a second. Without a second, this motion will fail. Commissioner Patterson?
That's the way it works.
It's the way it works. All right, we will then move on. This resolution did not pass. Okay. Let us now move on to the next item, which will be item 16, closed session pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A3 to consult with the attorney in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege and to consider and give instructions to an attorney concerning the handling and or settlement of the Willoughby Zoning Board of Adjustment appeal.
Mr. Mayor,
Hold on, that's the wrong one. I'm sorry.
that's the wrong one.
Reading it.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
This is for Duke. Yeah.
I'm sorry, let me read that again. That was off the screen. Closed session pursuant to GS 143-318.11A1 to prevent the disclosure of information that is privileged or confidential under the Trade Secret Protection Act pertaining to the amendments of the Duke Energy Power Purchase Agreement. Do I have a motion that
I
we go
motion
into closed
motion.
session?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're in closed session.
So when I downloaded it, it didn't save it, so I asked him.
Okay.
Thank you.